Welcome to Let's Read Comics, where we read and react to comics start to finish, describing everything as it happens for a better mental picture for those who are listening instead of watching the video. Also showing the artwork as we go along. Today's video will be all on the Ghost Rider. We're getting into the origin of the character. The comic I am reading is the Ghost Rider Omnibus, Volume 1 edition, entitled Hell on Wheels. I'm going to be starting it from the beginning and we'll get through it all the way to the end. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So here we got the Ghost Rider comic. It says, Marvel Spotlight on Ghost Rider. Is he alive or dead? A legend is born. The most supernatural superhero of all. It's a dark, stormy night. There's a dark figure on a motorcycle approaching. We start with some narration, and it says, rain, engulfing the city in a damp blanket of gloom. Rain, pounding down on the skull that once was the head of a normal man. That figure starts to get closer and closer, until finally you can make the shape of what it is, who it is. And sure enough, it's the Ghost Rider on his motorcycle, and you just see what looks like to be a skull that's on fire, with the body on the motorcycle. It says, the narration picks up, rain, combing with the black loneliness of night, to beat a mournful cadence which cries, you are the Ghost Rider. And then it has some sort of like credits, right? For this is edited by Stan Lee and the different authors and illustrators. Gary Friedrich, Mike Plug, John Costa, Roy Thomas. Shout out to y'all. I would be reading this. We pick up with some more narration. The Ghost Rider turns down an alley. Not necessarily an alley, but turns down a different street. And just as he turns down, there's a gunshot that goes off. And he sees two men and one who falls to the floor. The narration says, you see what is happening as you speed down a nearly deserted side street. And yet your tormented brain chooses not to see it. So you ride on. And he does so. The Ghost Rider just keeps on riding. And it's almost like he doesn't even see what those guys are doing. Just doesn't give a... He said, I ain't Spider-Man, dog. You killed his ass already, right? With some more narration. It says, never considering the fact that you are doomed to come into contact with normal men. And they are doomed to hound you, chase you, follow you into hell, if necessary. And just like that, the two men, they realize someone saw them, as one points it out to the other. Some more narration. Simply because they cannot understand the monstrosity you have become. One thug tells the other, that guy saw us, might be able to identify us in court. The other replies, get in the car, Clyde. We gotta get him. He's the only witness. And just like that, they start to get in their car and try to chase the Ghost Rider. Two thugs continue to chase him down. So we pick up with some more narration. The two thugs are chasing the Ghost Rider in their car. Suddenly, they're after you, trying to run you down. The Ghost Rider thinks to himself, why? Why now? I can't let anyone see me, not like this. Have to shake them off, somehow. Keep them from seeing what's happened to me. As they approach him, they can barely make him out due to the harsh rain and foggy windows. Foggy windshield, there you go, not windows. One thug says to the other, we're catching up with him, another block or so, and he'll be dead meat. The other replies, I hope you're right, but that glow from his head, giving me the creeps. The first thug replies again, probably just a luminous helmet, nothing a bullet won't stop. And just then the Ghost Rider seems to approach another turn. He thinks to himself, street's too slick to outrun them, have to find another way. Just then, the car quickly approaches. You can hear one shout, we're closing the gap another block or so, and watch it, he's cutting the corner. The car makes a hard right and slams into some construction post. The Ghost Rider thinks to himself, no dice, they're still on my tail. The Ghost Rider continues to ride down the street, thinking to himself, only hope is to duck into an alley, like that one coming up ahead. The thugs quickly realize and they inform one another. He's trying to sneak off into that alley, cut him off. As the Ghost Rider approaches the alley, he thinks to himself, they're too close. Saw me. There'd better be a way out of this, or it's all over. He meets a dead end. Now there's only one last chance that I can bluff that trigger-happy pair. Scare them into letting me pass. Both thugs get off the car. He's in there all right. We've got him cornered. And since dead men tell no tales, one says. The other replies, knock it off. Let's just get in there and finish him. How much trouble can one cycle jock be? And just then they make eye contact with the rider. He yells at him, more trouble than you can imagine, especially when he is the servant of Satan. The thugs really start to realize who it is they're approaching. What is this? It ain't close anywhere to Halloween. Look at him, the other says. He ain't got no face, just a blazing skull. He just points his finger at him, and suddenly there's a trench of fire just standing in front of them, blocking them from entering the alley. It's gotta be some kind of a trick, and any trick can be stopped by bullets. The Ghost Rider replies, a trick may, but this is no trick, but rather the work of the Master of Darkness. Observe. Suddenly, by the line of fire, there's a rat lined up perfectly with the rider. He calls out to them. First, a barrier of fire, and then the thugs yell back. He's playing games with us. Drill him. I'll try, but any dude who can set the ground on fire just by pointing must have something going for him. Hey, one guy is definitely smarter than the other. That's all I'm going to say, dude. The rider goes up the ramp, and he's staring right above them as they fall to the floor. He yells at them, indeed I do. The power of all hellfire. A power I cannot explain to mere human vermin, such as yourself. One of the thugs cries out, look, he ran that bike up that plank, he's jumping right over us. The other one replies, I can see, Dingbat, I can see. Just then, it seems as if the rider's finally in the clear. We have some narration. You've escaped. No one knows what happened to the man called Johnny Blaze. At least not yet. He thinks to himself, I've lost them, and just soon enough the sun is rising. Have to hide my bike, and then wait. It appears as if a massive headache hits him as he puts his hands on his forehead, as almost in a comforting gesture. He thinks to himself, yes, now it's coming. Slowly, but I can feel it coming on. Thank God this curse isn't complete. I'm becoming. The rider reverts back to human. We're met with a man. No longer the Ghost Rider. There's some narration. Now, the transformation is finished. You are human once more. The narration continues. Now, the transformation is finished. You are human once more. But when will it happen again? When? The question eats at your soul like a cancer. The man thinks to himself, it's over, and my secret is safe. But what about the next time? Will I ever be free, he yells out loud? Or am I doomed to a dual life, man by day and monster by night? He thinks to himself, have to stop thinking about it. Perhaps work. And just like that, he leaves his janky little apartment, and he heads out to the streets of New York City. Ply your trade, Johnny Blaze. Bury your tortured mind in the deadly danger that is your livelihood. As he stands on the corner, he stands right outside of Madison Square Garden, the mecca of all stadiums. He stands out there as there's an advertisement. As it says, Madison Square Garden presents the amazing Johnny Blaze and his cycle Spectacular, also starring Roxanne Simpson and the world's greatest cycle daredevils. He stands right around in front of the sign as he thinks to himself, we have to do a show this afternoon. I'm going for the world jump record, and I have to concentrate on that. Wouldn't want to miss and die before a few thousand paying customers now, would I? He sits back in what seems to be his stage room. Stage room? No. What is it called? Like his trailer, right? Like his trailer for fucking Like how movie stars and shit, the hot trailers, and like, oh, I'm gonna go back to my trailer. Ooh, da, 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 da. That looks like where he's at. He's at his own little fucking trailer room or fucking whatever. And the narration continues. But you can't concentrate on that writing, not after what you've been through. He thinks to himself, have to think back. Try to remember how it happened. And I pray I can find an answer somewhere in the past. He sits down on a lounge chair, trying to concentrate on his memories. The narration continues. The cycle show. That's where it all started. We see his past memories. And we see a tent with the sign that says Crash Simpson, Daredevil Cycle Show. As the memories replay in his mind, he hears words being shouted at him. Death, defying. He remembers posters, the name Crash Simpson, and his flying motorcycle play in his mind. The narration picks up. The day Barton Blaze defied death once too often and paid the price, possibly his life. The story picks up with an older couple and 2 young children. It's a man and a woman as the couple. The man tells the young boy, your father was a brave man, Johnny, and we're sorry he was killed. And since you don't have a mother, something's going to have to be done with you. The man continues, if you like, you can stay with us, and we'll raise you like a son. Or you can go to an orphanage. The little girl exclaims to Johnny, oh, please stay with us, Johnny, please. Johnny takes a moment to think, and he says, whatever you say, Roxanne. So this is the Roxanne and Crash, and I don't know if they mentioned this lady. Foreshadow or what? Shit. And just like that, the story transitions. And they're inside of the tent, the pop-up tent, and they're performing their amazing stunts. Because this family is a family of daredevils on some Evel Knievel shit. And so you stayed, overcame your fear of motorcycles, and longed for the day when you can ride and look death straight in the eye. Until finally that fateful day came. Although Mrs. Simpson didn't approve, they stand outside of their tent where an advertisement's on display. Crash Simpson, Daredevil Cycle Show. Crash's wife yells to him, don't push him, Crash. Maybe he doesn't want to ride. The story continues with a young Johnny Blaze riding with Roxanne Simpson riding on the back of his motorcycle. The narration continues. Oh, but you wanted to ride all right. And ride you did for 5 long years, working, practicing, and waiting for the day you could join the show. Then you were 15. Suddenly there's an accident. Johnny, Roxanne cries, the bike's on fire. Jump, Rocky, jump, Johnny yells at her. Roxanne does. She jumps off the bike. But Johnny, he just keeps driving straight as the bike's already on fire, and he seems to get it out of the tent, out of the way of anyone who might suffer from the explosion. Mrs. Simpson cries out to Johnny, get off, Johnny, it's going to explode. He yells back, I can't, I have to get it out of the tent first. Roxanne yells at Johnny, don't worry about that, just save yourself. The narration continues, but you wouldn't listen, would you? And the cycle show was your life, and you had to save it. That's what you were thinking about, the thing that kept you from seeing the tree. At a young Johnny Blaze crashes his flaming flaming motorcycle into a tree. It immediately combusts, and the tree is almost instantly lit on fire. The woman runs after Johnny, trying to help, crying, Johnny, Johnny. Yes, Papa. And the woman cries, Johnny, Johnny, are you hurt? Johnny yells back, get back! This thing's going to explode any second. There's a loud explosion. He cries out, Mother, Mother. But it's too late. We pick up in a hospital room where there's a woman lying what seems to be her deathbed. The narration continues. She wasn't even related to you. Still, she'd raised you and given her life for you. Mrs. Simpson cries, "Johnny, I must speak to Johnny. Come closer, please." Johnny walks up to her, tears pouring out of his eyes. The narration says, "So there was no way you could deny her last request." She whispers to Johnny, "Johnny, promise me you'll never ride in the show. Promise me, please." Johnny, with tears still pouring out of his eyes, he looks at her. "I promise you, Mother. I always wanted to call you that. And now, it's too late." The family is standing over a tombstone that says R.I.P. The narration continues. "But she never heard you speak that cherished name. Death came quickly. Once you had made that final vow, the vow you couldn't get out of your mind, even as you knelt beside the fresh blanket of earth which covered her. Even as you tried to comfort poor Roxanne, you couldn't drive away the burning thought that you could never ride again, never know the thrill of death hurling towards you at 100 miles per hour. No, not even grief and the cold driving rain could make you forget." Damn, that man's a fucking adrenaline junkie, ain't he? That shit's crazy. I be getting that shit from like just roller coasters and shit, dog. I don't need to go fucking 100 miles an hour on a goddamn motorized fucking bicycle, bro. Fuck that shit. The narration continues. "But you kept your promise." Crash yells at Johnny, telling him, 5 years since my wife has died, and you still haven't ridden since. I'm starting to think you're yellow." Johnny just sits there and takes it as he works on his motorcycle. Later, he runs into an older Roxanne. He tells her, "You, Rocky, even you doubt my courage?" She cries to Johnny with tears coming out of her eyes. "What else can I do, Johnny? Even though I don't want to believe it." She continues, "You won't ride? And there's only one reason for it that I can think. You're a coward." "Yeah, I guess you're right then," Johnny cries. "I'm chicken, so let's leave it at that." The story continues with the two of them performing their daredevil tricks in front of a crowd. Crash Simpson and his daughter Roxanne. The narration says, "You couldn't leave it at that though." Let me drink some of this Arizona tea real quick. One thing for sure is like, I don't really be talking all that much unless it's like to my lady or some shit. So like, talking a lot like this, like my ass is gonna get thirsty and I won't fucking, I won't drink anything in the microphone like this close or anything, so you don't have to worry about that. But I'm not really planning on editing my videos too much, you know. So if I say shit like that and I stop for a bit, like it's just I'm drinking some good shit, you know. I'm getting hydrated. The story continues. You couldn't leave it at that though. As the show got bigger, the applause grew louder. The stunts became more dangerous. You stood in the shadows and watched, cheated of fame and fortune by a promise to a dying woman. The story continues, and Johnny, who he believes to be alone, seems to be practicing his own daredevil tricks. The story says, "Then it hit you. You'd promised not to ride in the show. Nothing was said about riding for your own satisfaction. So you started to practice late at night when no one was watching, at least no one you knew of." And we see a Roxanne snooping, watching Johnny. The trick he's doing is pretty fucking crazy, honestly. I couldn't imagine seeing someone do this shit. He's riding his motorcycle, and this man is like doing a handstand on the fucking handlebars. I didn't think I was gonna be able to describe it, but damn, I sure did, didn't I? It's just funny as fuck, bro. Alright, Roxanne stops Johnny, tells him, "I knew it, Johnny. I've been watching you for months now." Bitch, I've been watching you for months now. Okay, face ass. The fuck? You were just calling him a fucking coward, bitch. Like, oh, fuck out of here. She's like that one bitch. I knew it all along. All right, let's continue. I knew it, Johnny. I've been watching you for months now, and you're good, maybe the best. Johnny replies, so the secret's out. Chicken Johnny Blaze can ride. She replies, yes, he can, but then why has he kept it a secret? I just don't understand. And Johnny tells her, because I promised your mother on her deathbed that I would never ride in a show again. 2 kiss. That's kind of fucked up, bro. There's some weird shit Marvel be doing dead ass with, like, I mean, I guess technically this is fine because they're adopted, but bitch, like, he's your adopted brother, bro. He was raised to be your brother, dog. Your parents literally called him son and shit, and you're gonna fuck him? Like, whoa. The 2 share a kiss. Oh, Johnny, I suspected it for a long time, and now I know for sure. I love you, Johnny Blaze, and I'll keep loving you no matter what the world thinks. And the 2 embrace one another. The story continues, and the show continues to thrive. Upgrading, seeming like they're upgrading, honestly, from a tent to a stadium, because it just looks like it's slowly starting to get bigger, and there's more. They're fitting more and more people, and there ain't no way you can fit that many people in a tent, you know? So, shit. There's a paper that says, Bike World. Crash Simpson thrills thousands. World's greatest cycle showman. And the 2 are embracing the crowd, as father and daughter, as Johnny watches from the sidelines. The narration continues. And from then on, nothing mattered. Being a mere grease monkey while the show's popularity continued to grow was tolerable, as long as you had her, or so you try to make yourself believe. The story continues with the 3 of them having dinner. Johnny, Crash, Roxanne, they're sitting there. Not having dinner, having breakfast. At least, I don't know. I know, like, with some people in my family and shit, like my grandpa and shit, like, my grandpa can drink coffee with any fucking meal, and I just see he's drinking coffee, so that makes me think breakfast, but shit, maybe they are having dinner. Who knows? Because I know, like, this guy's an old man, like, shit. You gotta have breakfast with fucking... Oh, that's not even his coffee, that's fucking Johnny's. Goddamn. The narration continues. Morning, another city, another hotel room, and a simple phone call. A call which will change your life more drastically than you can ever know. Roxanne answers the call. Answering it. Oh, hi, Alfie. Any big news on the big one? Or is this another social call? What? You really got it? You wouldn't put us on? I'll call you right back. Roxanne shares her excitement with the group. We've done it. Madison Square Garden. Johnny lifts her into the air, crying out, then this is it, the biggest showcase in the world. No practice today. Today, we celebrate. Johnny turns and looks to the old man. He looks at Crash and tells him, how about it, Crash? After all these years of struggling, the Crash Simpson Cycle Spectacular has hit the top. Crash looks at Johnny and tells him, yeah, you're right. Big deal. Suddenly, there's a serious look in Crash's eye as he tells him, I risk my life every day for 30 years, and then when I finally reach my goal, the doc tells me I may not live to see it. He reveals to them he doesn't have much longer to live. Roxanne immediately hugs her father, crying, Daddy, what are you saying? Do you mean that? That's it, baby. Doc Warren gives me a month at the most. Johnny cries out, good Lord, the show, without you? It can't be, there must be some mistake. Crash balls his hands up together, telling Johnny, it's no mistake. I've got the disease, and it's going to get me. All I can do now is wait and wish I had a son to take over. Immediately, Roxanne looks at Johnny as he looks away from her. But Johnny's been like a son to you. He can take over, Johnny. Can't you? Johnny cries out, no way. You know I can't, even if I wanted to. Roxanne has tears pouring out of her eyes. Then it's true. It must be true. You're a coward, she yells as she leaves the room, slamming the door behind her. Go ahead and keep your promise, but it'll cost you my love forever. Damn, Roxanne is not no motherfucking ride or die. She is not who you want in your corner, bro. What kind of fucking shit is this? First of all, you're gonna fucking be all up on his dick when he fucking tells you fucking, yeah, I made a promise to your mother on her deathbed. I'm just being a man, keeping my word. And then you're gonna fucking throw that shit in his face, bro. Like, what the fuck? Oh, fuck no. Got me all the way fucked up, bro. Crash stands up from his seat, coffee in his hand. He tells him, so you're gonna let me down, even in the end? Get out of here, boy. Please, just go. As he turns away from Johnny, not even giving him the goodwill to look him in the eye. And so the story continues. But you couldn't go, not when they needed you. Still, there was no one you could turn to. No one except Satan. Oh shit, that's hilarious, dude. What a fucking goddamn. No fucking alternate medicine, no fucking Eastern medicine or West Coast medicine or fucking herbal remedies or fucking jack shit. And he said, I'm selling my soul to the devil. That's hilarious, dude. I can't get past that. Satan! Johnny thinks to himself after that ridiculous statement. Yes, this is the only way. And even though I'm afraid, continues after reading his Satan books. Since childhood, you'd read of him and the miracles he could perform. Now you were ready to face him. Appear, O Prince of Darkness, your humble servant beckons. He says as he continues his seance with a skull of a goat on the table, flame coming from the top of its head. Johnny Blaze continues his seance, saying the phrase, through time eternal, through endless space, I beg thee, journey to this place. As soon as he finishes his sentence, there's a sudden crash of lightning that forces the windows to be opened. The narration states, the icy hand of fear grips your gut like a vice as the hot wind of evil fills the room. Then, as the life in your sacred candle suddenly is snuffed out, you know that he has arrived. And suddenly, as Johnny turns and looks behind him where the window once was, there's a large demonic figure that can only be one thing, and that's Satan himself. He sits there on his throne, face of black, calling to Johnny. You have called, and Satan has answered. From the depths of hell, I come to aid him who will serve me. Johnny replies, yes, yes, grant my wish and I will serve you faithfully through all eternity. I only ask that Crash Simpson be spared from the deadly disease which is killing him. Satan reaches down and grabs the man, exclaiming, it is done. But be warned, one day, soon, I will return to collect my fee. There's a loud crash and a bang, and suddenly, the flame lights back up in the skull. The narration continues. Then, as quickly as it began, it has ended. The room cools, and the sickening stench of death fades from your nostril. The sacred candle burns once more, and you know that he is gone. The bargain has been sealed. You know only one end, and yet you feel strangely relieved, as if your great weight has been lifted from your shoulders. Crash will live, and perhaps Roxanne will love you again, if the master gives you time. If. 3 weeks pass, and you find yourself in New York City, Madison Square Garden. Roxanne comes running to Johnny. Johnny, quick, it's Dad. You have to come quick. You have to stop him. Johnny just looks at her funny and says, me? How could a coward like me keep him from doing anything? She begs some more. Please, Johnny. He thinks this may be his last performance, and he's announced that he'll try for the world cycle jump record. Johnny thinks for a second. But he can. He's good, but not good enough, damn it. All right, let's find him. And eventually they do, and they find Crash. Johnny confronts him first, saying, "Are you off your rocker, Crash? You're going to kill yourself." Crash can't even look Johnny in the eye, closing him as he says, "So what? If I'm gonna go, it's gonna be here, on my bike, not in some hospital bed." Crash continues, "This way, when people remember me, they'll remember I died with my leathers on." Roxanne replies to her father, "You're talking crazy, Dad. Johnny, do something." Johnny adds on, "She's right, Crash. You can't go through with it." Crash, starting to look very, very angry and challenged almost, balls his hands up in a fist and stands there as if he's ready to take a swing on Johnny, telling him, "And who's gonna stop me? Not a gutless kid I raised like a son, that's for sure." Johnny, looking at him, just turns his back, walking away, telling him, "Okay, hardhead, you've called me names for the last time." Johnny continues to walk away, but his mind racing still, full of thoughts. He thinks to himself, "Had to put on that show. Though I know he's in no real danger. I have the devil's word on it. Still, can he even get a bike over 22 cars?" Confusingly, he continues to walk away, getting ready to watch the show. We're at Madison Square Garden, where there's a stadium full of people. It's a completely sold out show. The narration continues. "You have faith, and yet you doubt, as the hours until showtime crawl by. Then you stand helpless in the shadows, and the moment of truth is upon you." Pretty quickly, the show begins, and Crash races out from the entrance. As soon as he passes by, he sees Johnny, and they just give each other a thumbs up. A quick upward flick of a thumb, a sign that Crash Simpson does care. Then a deafening roar, a cloud of dust, and a cheer from the crowd, and silence, save the whine of the Harley's engine and the pounding of your own heart. Suddenly, a stadium full of people falls dead silent as Crash takes off the ramp, jumping over the first few cars. The audience can't help but watch. Everyone has their eyes glued to the man as he floats up into the air, attempting the Crash cycle jump record of 22 cars. He rides up the ramp. He goes over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, until finally tragedy strikes. Gravity takes over as he starts to go back down. He crashes instantly into these 2 cars, and there's a fire that immediately breaks out. Johnny races for Crash, who's fallen and scattered clothing as he's been severely damaged. "Crash, oh Lord, Crash!" Johnny races towards him. You watched in stunned silence as the mangled, broken body is placed on a stretcher, and you listen to Roxanne's agonized sobs. So this is how the master keeps his promises. Then, blinded by rage and grief, you know what you must do. Johnny speaks to someone who's working security, telling them, "Tell the announcer to hold the crowd, Sam. I'm going to make the jump." And just like that, Johnny does his best to commemorate Crash this same day. Doesn't really seem like they'd allow that shit, bro. It seems like if a motherfucker crashed and died in front of fucking a stadium full of people, like, they finna be on top of that. Everyone's going home. Everyone's trying to get paid too from fucking traumatized fucking events and shit. Like, shit. The narration continues. All sense of time is lost to you, and suddenly the glare of the spotlight is upon you. Johnny makes his way out to the field with the big bright spotlight on him, and the crowd starting to pay attention towards him. He races down for the ramp and makes the jump. You're oblivious to the gasp of the crowd, even to the screams of Roxanne. As one thought burns in your mind, you must make the jump for him. Roxanne, who's being held back by security, screams, "Johnny, no, please, don't do it, don't." But he can't hear her, as he just has tunnel vision. He's focused on accomplishing his goal. As he races up the ramp and jumps, he sees the exact car, still smoking from when Crash himself had crashed into the car, losing potentially his life. Blood races through his temple. Fear grips his heart. You feel the bike lose contact with the ground and a thrill surges throughout his entire body, a thrill like he's never experienced before, as you soar through the space, knowing at the end there will either be triumph or death. Gravity begins to take over as he lands back down. Now you begin to fall, a rapid drop, perhaps too rapid. But no, you've done it. You're the champion, and the thick nectar of success intoxicating beyond belief. As soon as he finishes the jump, he confronts Roxanne, telling her, "How was that? Not bad for a coward, huh?" She just face plants herself, saying, "How could you? After Dad?" She turns her back to Johnny, walking away, telling him, "I'm leaving. The show is yours now, but I never want to see you again." Johnny cries out to her, "Rocky, wait, I did it for you, only for you." But she doesn't care. We fast forward, and Johnny's sitting alone in his apartment. Suddenly, the roar of the crowd is meaningless, and you seek the solace of your dressing room. And the answers you pray silence can bring you. But as he sits there alone, the room begins to change. But there is to be no peace, no silence, for as you close your eyes, a hot wind engulfs you, a wind you know you felt before. And then he appears, Satan, pointing that long cursed finger at Johnny. Johnny cries to him, You double-crossed me, then appear again. You've got a lot of gall, devil." The devil simply shouts at him, "Silence, weakling. I kept my bargain. The mortal did not die of the disease. Now I claim my reward, your very soul." Satan continues, "From this day forth you will walk the earth as my emissary, and in the dark hours and in the light you will join me in Hades." Just as Satan continues this little rant, Johnny begins to realize what it was he offered the devil. As his head begins to turn into a flaming skull, he can't do anything but shout, "No, no." But as you feel the flesh burning from your face, you scream in agony. A door opens, and the one being who can save you enters. Roxanne comes in the door, telling her, "Johnny, I wanted to." Then she realizes what's going on. No. I suspected it, but I didn't want to believe it." Fucking Roxanne, bro. She knew all along that Johnny was doing this shit, but didn't bother to fucking stop him or fucking jack shit, until it's fucking convenient for her. I knew it all along, but I didn't want to believe it. Face ass. Okay, well anyways. And while the fire in your brain rages out of control, she flings herself across you, holding Johnny as he falls down, calling to the devil, "Back, O fell denizen of the depths. As the cross is to a vampire, so is the presence of one pure in heart to you. Disappear, I command you, or the forces of good within me will destroy you indefinitely." Satan can't do anything as he just looks at her, shocked, calling to her, "I depart, cursed woman, but I shall return to claim what is owed to me." Suddenly, the wind fades, the odor disappears, and the fiery pain dies. Johnny begins to regain his consciousness. Roxanne tries to comfort him, telling him, "It's all right, darling. He's gone, never to return as long as I stay with you." Johnny, still confused and a bit shaken up, tells her, "But I don't understand. How did you know?" Roxanne places her head on Johnny's chest, holding him tight as she tells him, "You never realized I read your books on Satan when you weren't around. And when I entered the room, well, I knew exactly what to do." Well, that's fucking convenient, ain't it? Oh shit, this is fucking hilarious, dude. I just knew exactly what to do because I just conveniently read the book. Alright, Johnny tells her, thanking her, "Thank God. Oh, Rocky, I love you." She just can't say anything to him other than, "Don't talk, darling. Just hold me." We continue the story and he's back in his stage room. Johnny blays as he's putting on his leather jacket. Yes, nestled in her arms, you feel so safe, so free. But the following night, as darkness steals over the city, he thinks to himself, head. My head is throbbing. I feel like I'm burning with a fever. Could it be? What? No. Lord, don't let it happen. And suddenly he feels the burning sensation of his face. For what seems an eternity, the searing pain brings you to the brink of insanity. Then suddenly it subsides, but you know something has changed. As the flesh burns from his face, that trend continues for his entire body, as he loses every bit of flesh and muscle, as he is nothing but a skeleton that is lit on fire. As he looks into the mirror, he sees himself for what he is, a skull that's on fire. He screams, "No." The narration continues. You know what you must do. You have to run, get away, not let anyone see you, not like this. So you flee into the night, not realizing you have been seen. 2 workers for the Madison Square Garden Stadium, just doing their job, see the man as he walks away. One cries out to the other, "Hey, what the devil's that?" The other replies, "I don't know about you, but I'm going to pretend I didn't see a thing." Smart man. Smart man. Some people are. We as a society could just mind our own damn business. Think about how much would fucking improve, like literally. Thus it ends, the deadly waking dream, which has seemed so real, so palpable. Yes, ends, only to become the living nightmare. It has been for 3 weeks now, a nightmare which will seemingly never end now. A curse from you, there is no escape, a horrifying trap from which death would seem a better alternative. We pick back up right where our story had left off earlier, where Johnny is sitting on his lounge chair, sitting there, contemplating his memories, reminiscing even. He thinks to himself, where can I go? What can I do? When I know that each night I'll look like that, feel like that. I've changed all the shows and told Rocky I'm practicing at night, but how much longer can I get away with it? How long before the world finds out? And there's your answer. Those thugs told the police about me, and I'm being hunted. He picks up a newspaper, the Daily. He stares at it as it headlines, "Hold up killers, caught, tell of the mysterious ghostwriter," in quotes. He ruffles up the newspaper in his hand, crying out loud, "Have to leave. Get out of New York. There must be some place I can hide and think." Then he begins to change back into the ghostwriter. But before you can flee, it is time. I must have slept all day. It's night again, and I'm changing into the ghostwriter. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we finished our first ghostwriter comic. Wow, that was a pretty great intro to the character. Definitely look forward to reading more. Man, it feels like so much happened in that one issue. We definitely got his origin down, and then some other things as well that could be important, like the characters in his life, who's important for him, and all that, and then like just really what drives him. There are a few weird things though that are funny to just make fun of, but we do got to remember this comic was written in like the 70s, so completely different time period, which doesn't necessarily excuse that, but it's just to let you know what the world was like back then. The way they saw things, and it's just completely different versus now. Technology, culture, all that, it's just completely shifted. So let's just go ahead and enjoy it as we go along. And thank you for tuning in and watching this video. I appreciate it. Looking forward to the next one.